This is our third session that we are conducting with our guest, Nhlanhla Moses Dube, who is the Secretary General of Freedom Alliance. We have looked at a number of issues from the first episode to the second, and today we want to focus on the state of education in Matebeleland. Welcome to Ingqungqulo production, Umdumo interview with Nhlanhla Moses Dube. Nhlanhla, please feel welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dube. I hope you are doing well.
I'm doing well, and I hope you are doing well too. Today, basically, what we're trying to do is just have a general discussion. I want this to be a discussion about the state of education in Matebeleland. I know that you're a teacher by profession, and you probably have got better insight into the state of education in Matebeleland. What are your views? What do you think is the current state of Matebeleland education? How is it at the moment, 40 years after independence, or 44 years after independence?
Yes, the state of education in Matebeleland is that of decomposition, decay, as it were. Because what we see happening is that there is no longer education to talk about, but you can only be talking about paying school fees, having children going to school in the morning. But in terms of the output of the education, there is virtually nothing.
Right. So would you clarify further by saying, there's virtually nothing? So basically, from primary to university, you're saying it's in a state of decomposition. What exactly do you mean by that? Could you elaborate on this?
Yes, what I mean by that is that when you have an education system that is viable, it means that students are benefiting from it. The things that they do are productive things. And from there, they are having the motivation even to learn because they can see what we can call a return on investment. You go to school, then you are able, let's suppose, to get a job after that. And that has got a motivational effect into a grade one. A grade one who is seeing someone who is successful, who is a teacher or who is doing whatever they are doing, will actually propel or spur that child into learning so that they get it. So it's not there. Look at the infrastructure. The infrastructure is non-existent if you think of our schools, and most of it is even dangerous to the children. And then you look at the human resources. The human resources that you have, it creates a picture that you have got it to be from outside Matebeleland so that you can be someone who can work. And it even creates in the minds of our children that we are not very intelligent because they cannot see us being in their classroom. The person they see in their classroom is someone who will be coming from other regions like Mashonale coming. So all that creates, it makes education to look like a concept that is exotic, a concept that is of outside Matebeleland. So the human resources that are there, the infrastructure that you can think of, the resources in the school, resources are not there. There are no books. We've been promised free education to our children, but it is not there. So one would term that a decomposed and a decayed state of education.
Yes. That's very interesting. So if things are like that, if the state of education is sort of decomposing or has been decomposing in Matebeleland for the past 44 years. Does that then necessarily mean that the Matebele generally are in a decomposed state as a nation? Because, you know, education is a cornerstone of any nation. For any nation to progress, to be innovative, to be prepared for the challenges, the current challenges and the future challenges. You know, other people are talking about technology and creativity and research and all that stuff. So basically, your assessment is that, you know, the Matebeleland state of education is not preparing the nation of Matebeleland or the Matebele for the current and for the future.
Yes, we are in a dilapidated state, whether literally or in a metaphorical sense. Because as you are saying, it is the education that will shape a nation. An educated nation is having an educated or viable economy. The social aspect, social development also is enhanced. So we find that all those are non-existent in Matebeleland. Even if when there is some form of employment, it's not for the Matebelelander, but it will be someone who has come in there to be there. So we are actually a dead state or region. The only life that people are having in Matebeleland is this life which is derived from outside Zimbabwe. And you would wonder if we didn't have countries where people could go, like the UK and stuff. I don't know what Matebeleland would be as we speak. So if the education of our children is dead the way it is, and it is dangerous, and you can predict that there won't be peace in some years to come, because you are having children who lack intrinsic motivation, who cannot even be motivated by things around them because there is nothing. Because you can have extrinsic motivation, which will lead on to intrinsic motivation, which will drive you to want to achieve something. I remember, you know, we grew up in poor backgrounds. It was the Smith regime. But what we were seeing, the people that were there, who were working there being teachers, they spared us to have that zeal to want to start. But now you will find, for example, I'm actually in the educational fraternity, as it were. But how do I encourage even my children? How do I encourage the community? Because they will be seeing the way I will be suffering will even be worse than one would imagine. So our region being dead in terms of education means that Matebeleland is a decayed region, as it were. And that decay, impetu yakhona is from Mashonaland. That's the termite that will be eating into the flesh and the bones of Matebeleland.
So, you know, you mentioned the aspects about the resources, the infrastructure, and then you've looked at the role modeling that, you know, there are less and less of role models whom our children can sort of model and say, you know, this is this. What do you think are the factors that have led to this massive decay that we experience today? What has brought us here? Or what has brought the state of education in Matebeleland to this decomposed state?
Yes, it is a decomposed government that is there, misgovernance that is there, the corruption that is there, the corruption in terms of monetary terms, then the corruption in terms of the ethnic way of doing things, because ethnicity in Zimbabwe or tribalism has affected our education greatly. Because one, when a school, let's suppose there are two schools that need resources. There is a school that is in Matebeleland and there is a school in Mashonaland. It's anyone's guess that the school in Mashonaland is going to be given the resources and the one in Matebeleland is not going to be prioritized. And I'm putting that at the hands of government. Also, the issue of Kukuraundi. You know, we will always refer to that because it has played a very great role. That issue is the one that ensured that education was not quality education. Imagine 1983 to 1987, thereabout. There was physical kukuraundi. Then after that, then this one, slightly kukuraundi, the nominal one, the intangible kukuraundi was also in there. So all those factors have come in to destroy the education. And check, when you talk of education, you're also talking about the culture, because it's a enculturation education where you are saying children should learn this. But you will find that in Matebeleland, a child is going to go to school to learn a new culture, sort of the master's culture. I remember when we were young, studying day by day English course and stuff. Things from Australia that you'll be learning. Now in Matebeleland, we are learning, our children are learning things from Mashonaland. And they are even learning to say the leaders, your kings and stuff, the way they will be ridiculed even in class. You know what I mean? So that is killing even the social fabric of Matebeleland, is being mattered in broad daylight through that, because the people that are put there, they have got a certain culture that they have. And even some people argue that when you are at university, there is no problem. Secondary school, it really matters that even when you are starting a degree, someone who teaches you, what examples is that person giving? Can someone give you an example of the kingdom of Matebeleland, how it was heroic? The person is not going to do that, because this person is actually antagonistic to the Matebeleland state as it were. So all those factors are coming in. The economy that is dead ensures that even the parents cannot sponsor the education of their children, even if they want to. So it's a myriad collection, a litany of ills that are actually piled on Matebeleland by a state that is kukuraundist, if I may put it.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And you know, in education, like you touched on the aspect of culture, and culture involves also a language. And one would argue and say language forms the foundation, the actual base for someone's education. And in that sense, someone's local language becomes the foundational cornerstone for education. Because at primary, be it necessary and stuff like that, things would have to be explained to you in a local language, even though you may learn English, but then, you know, things have got to be explained in the local language for you to understand them. And the language itself carries a lot of things, carries culture, carries many aspects, or, you know, people's identity, customs, and all that stuff. And also, we realize is that most strong nations across the world that are progressive and powerful have got their own languages as a basis for development, for education, for research, and stuff like that. Now, how is the foundational building blocks of education like in Matebeleland?
Yes, the foundational building blocks in education are non-existent. You and me, we will agree that when we think, like as we are speaking right now, whether I'm speaking in English or in Sishona or in Tonga, my thinking is in Isindebele. It means I'm decoding and then interpreting. The message in me is in Isindebele, which is my basic language. Think of a child who goes to ECD and then meets a stranger who speaks a strange language. Education is not always interesting, especially when you are taught by a disinterested, disengaged teacher who wishes that you and your nation perish because you are not educated? That person comes into class, right? The first thing is that the child is not going to be enthusiastic about education just from nowhere. We were never enthusiastic about it, but the fact that we had caring people who were there, people that we could understand when they talked to us, even when the games that they would make us play were those games that we knew. You see that kind of thing. And this thing has actually destroyed the development of Matebeleland. This person who is teaching there, you go to the clinic, the nurse who is there is speaking another language. The person who is ill there, if, for example, I've got a disease called isilungulela, and then I'm going to tell someone that I'm suffering from isilungulela, does that person even understand? I don't know what isilungulela is in English. As it were, right? You are having a parent who is disillusioned in that kind of situation. You have a child who is at school, who is frustrated at school. The mother is frustrated at the clinic or hospital. They cannot understand the language. And when the net effect of it, in the long run, you will check that when you ask our children what they want to do, they will even check those professions that are for people from Mashonale, because the policeman is from there, because anyone who is working is out of education. The policeman is from there, everything. And now the building blocks, like I'm saying, a child who reasons in Isindebele needs a concept being built from Isindebele. We talk about cattle, for example. We are a cattle rearing area. Even when you give a story for the children, you are talking about the cattle. But someone is talking about something else. Even our pronunciation of English, we have got what we could call Ndenglish in a way. But our children are learning Shonglish, where they will see triangle. You see, triangle, something that you don't. I remember as a teacher, I was working in Mat North, I was in Binga. And then there was a teacher who was teaching in the class. I was like, what is this person saying? Triangle, triangle. And now I did not understand what the person was saying until when I got in through the window passing by. I saw that it was a triangle. She was teaching shapes. You see that kind of a thing. If I could get confused, I was a teacher by then, getting confused by the pronunciation that someone is having. How about these children? So we will have children in Matebeleland that are actually Mashonalanders in a way, but they are our children. In a way, there is a gulf that is being built there. So those foundational blocks, Mr. Dube, are not there. They've been obliterated and deliberately, which is very, very sad. Yes.
What do you think? You've discussed or you've mentioned the aspect of the impact of Kugraundi, the impact of the government's attitude towards the state of education in Matebeleland. You've mentioned the issue of deployment of non-competent Ndebele or Kalanga or various Sesotho, non-competent individuals to teach these children. What do you think the people of Matebeleland should do in order to manage this situation? In terms of lobbying the government to actually, hold this particular difficult situation. What is the way forward here? What would be the best thing to do?
The problem is that when you have got an autocratic state, a theocratic state in a way, although it won't have the full religious aspect of it, it becomes very much of a challenge. And remember, we are also faced with the hated propaganda, incessant propaganda since 1980, over 40 years, not even since that. Even we are aware that even during the liberation struggle, there was this propaganda against Matebeleland. So that propaganda has been sustained for a very long time. And now it is difficult to say what should be done because even the matured Matebeleland now has fallen in for it. We have got people that are of our age, adults, who when you talk of Matebeleland and Mashonaland, they will choose to go with Mashonaland, for example. And those people are victims of this kind of propaganda. If our people had not fallen for the propaganda, I would say to them, let's refuse to have those teachers coming. We would tell them, no, we don't want you here. In Mashonaland, they are doing that. Recently, it was talked about, I don't know whether it was Manicaland and stuff. They will tell you to say, no, we don't want you here. I remember my former teacher, Mr. Reifa Mahlangu, may his soul rest in peace. He was teaching, I think it was in Berengwa, where it was Shona speaking. That guy was teaching maths and science. They told him, say, no, in Matebeleland, where you come from, people don't have a maths and science teacher. He actually taught me Form 1 at Zwelabo Secondary School. So what I would say is that it is clear that unless you stand against evil, nothing is going to happen. But now our people, because of the politics that they are in, there are people who are scared. We have got parents who are scared of saying, no, we don't want this teacher because they are scared that Chamisa will be unhappy. They are in his party, he's going to be unhappy. Some people who are in ZANU, they are scared that if we stand up in Nangaka, we'll say, you are ZANU people, why are you doing that? Because when you rise up in Matebeleland, it is termed tribalism. Even whether it's in politics, if you are a politician from Matebeleland, you are a tribalist. But if you are a politician from Mashonaland, you have formed a political party. You don't get those accusations. So what the people, you can give advice even to the deaf. I would say what people of Matebeleland need to do is to come together. Whether it is in educationally, in the academic sense, whether it is politically, whether it is economic, the land has gone, the land of Matebeleland. It goes because people in Matebeleland wanted to identify with the people from Mashonaland so that they will say, no, we are civilized. It's like people who wanted to be like white. Being a white or behaving in the sense of a white, then you'll be seen as a civilized person. There are people who are so much scared to stand for Matebeleland because they fear that this propaganda to them, it has made them to stand with Mashonaland. Anyone from Matebeleland who does something, even the people of Matebeleland will be the ones who are going to Harare to say no. I have heard some people saying no, like what Nkala said, I thought he was the last one. There are people now in the opposition who are saying no, I'm embarrassed, telling people in their WhatsApp groups there, just to please them. So the answer is in the people of Matebeleland, in the unity of Matebeleland. That's where we will solve this problem. Despite that, we are doomed.
Now, if we look at general world standards aspects of, if someone is going to be hired as a teacher or whatever profession, wherever you got to go, if there is a language barrier, there are set requirements for people to fulfill, and those set requirements have got to fulfill the competency assessment. As in, okay, are you competent? For example, if you were to go and teach in China, I'm pretty sure the Chinese would say, you know what, are you competent in Chinese? Before even you can touch a Chinese child, you have to be assessed and demonstrate that you are competent in that. Do you think Matebeleland needs its own education sort of committee or its own education organ that would oversee who comes to Matebeleland to teach in Matebeleland, and whether these people fulfill the competence that's required for them to come and teach in Matebeleland? For example, someone who's got to come and teach Matebeleland would have English as a competence, will have Ndebele as a competence, will have and been assessed for that they can speak fluently in that, would have Kalanga as a competence in Kalanga, in Sesotho, in Tswana, in Venda, and stuff like that. And if they have got to be deployed there, then they would have had this assessment and demonstrated that they are competent in.
I will only talk about what I heard you say, in sense of the language barrier, and also what you were saying, to say, do we need an education for Matebeleland or a committee? So I will talk about those. If for someone who understands, language is basic in anything that an individual is going to do, right? There are language barriers even when people, a teacher from Mashonaland is teaching in Mashonaland. There are language barriers that will be there. A teacher who is teaching in Matebeleland, even if he speaks Isindebele, there will be language barriers that will be there. For example, I'm a high school qualified teacher. If you take me, for example, to teach, I'm speaking Isindebele, and I started Isindebele at high school. If you take me and place me at a grade 1 level class, there is going to be a challenge. There will be a language barrier there, because I will not understand the language of the way you remember these teachers over mama betilabana badala babesifundisa owayesazi ukuthi yi-specialist vele khona lapha. So now we are having a situation where Mashonaland is creating employment in Matebeleland for people from Mashonaland. Some of them are ZANU-PF youth that are being brought there. So that makes it even worse, because what they do when they bring those people, they are creating employment. Let's suppose there is a vacancy for ECT. They bring someone who is not even ECT. The person is a teacher who can teach grade 7. They bring that person there. When you are the headmaster, you are saying, no, this person cannot teach this language. They are saying, no, make arrangements within there, get someone to teach there. You will take a teacher from Matebeleland who is teaching grade, who qualified for junior, to come and teach infants. You see that what I mean? If you are taking that person there, although that person speaks Ndebele, he is unsuitable there. He is incompetent in that kind of a situation. Then they will get someone from Mashonaland, even let's suppose the person can teach ECT, but this person cannot teach in Isindebele. They will take that teacher to teach grade 7. They take a qualified teacher for grade 7 from Matebeleland and put him for ECT. Now, are those grade 7s going to produce the result? They are taught by someone from Torashanga who is qualified to teach ECT, but is now teaching grade 7, because they are creating employment for the Mashonalanders in Matebeleland. You see what I mean? And what will also happen is, for new teachers, it will be difficult for a teacher from Matebeleland to get that job. Remember that we have got less people in ZANU in Matebeleland. So when employment is channeled through ZANU, and we know that ZANU was born of tribalism, because ZANU, tribalism, genocide, all those things go together. So it's those people who come in to teach. Even the examples that we use in Matebeleland, the heroes that we have in Matebeleland are considered villains in Mashonaland. And when you are telling our children a story, or Inganegwan, who are you going to talk about? You wanted to talk about Gombuya. And our children only know Imbuya, Uguti Sika season, Sipeg. You see that kind of a thing. You are confusing them.
So then what then is the solution? So how are you going to solve this problem?
Yes, the other part that you had said was, should we have a committee? If we had a state, a sober state run by well-meaning people, reasonable people, there would be no need even to talk about this. They would ensure that people that deal with the education in Matebeleland are people from Matebeleland, people who understand the basics. You know, even the song that is sung in Matebeleland, you don't have to go to school to learn that song. It is known by the people in Matebeleland. If you talk of Kongonya, Even if the Congonia can be too easy for me, I cannot dance it. If that's why they don't even want us, because if I'm in Mzaraban and I'm teaching dances, I will teach them moves. You see that kind of thing. And that's what we see in our school.
Yeah, but we know that definitely this is not the particular situation that we have. We've got these challenges. So what can we do then as Matebele to actually, because it seems to me that we need to do something ourselves to be able to make some progress, some headway. And that would take people actually maybe coming up with material and focused intervention, sort of either groups or bodies that will say, you know, monitor deployments and actually monitor whether the people that are deployed in Matebeleland have got competency in the areas that they are deployed in. But what would it take for this to happen?
Yes, thank you very much. What Matebeleland needs to do, the problem, like I said, we've got a violent state, a lawless state. People of Matebeleland need to say Matebeleland for education. We can have a convergence for education for Matebeleland, where we lobby the government. We've talked and talked and talked, and they're not listening. We lobby them. We have, even our regional lobbying should not only be about politics. Of course, we are aware that people will say no, politics will solve everything. We have even that organization going to study UNESCO there to say there is a genocide, which is broad cultural genocide, linguistic genocide that we are facing. And unfortunately, you will have to stand against the devil there, because the devil wants to devour you. Once you talk of a good thing, then the adrenaline levels of the devil are going to rise, and then he will be on your throat. That's the unfortunate part of it. But we need to be afraid. We need to stand up and say, as Matebeleland, we are fighting, in as much as we are fighting the physical Kukuraundi genocide, we need also to have advocacy groups that are standing up activism for education in Matebeleland. We talk about it every day, every hour, every minute. Even people that are, because right now another issue that is a concern is the opposition, where you are not allowed to talk about issues of Matebeleland. For example, if there is a teacher who comes there who cannot speak any language, ZANU people are not going to be there. Triple C people, the Triple C or the Chamisa people, they will not come to you. And those people, usually, they will be people of influence, because they are known to wield power. They are the people who are in parliament and all that. So we have got a serious problem. We need to reconfigure Matebeleland. We reconfigure activism in Matebeleland, civic society in Matebeleland, in as much as there will be the political side of things in Matebeleland.
And I want us to put in or shine a light on the responsibility that, despite what is happening, on the responsibility that we shoulder ourselves. Do you think, as we speak now, we're probably speaking in general terms, and we probably haven't, we know there's, you know, what you call anecdotal evidence, but we haven't got an organization that monitors the patterns of teacher deployments or monitoring the success or failures within the Matebeleland schools, monitoring the factors that are there, monitoring the issues around the infrastructure, whereupon, if you had this data today, we could be speaking and you would be saying to me, for example, in Mat North, there are so many teachers that are deployed in Mat North who are not competent in the local language, so many teachers at primary school, so many teachers at secondary school, and so many teachers from Matebeleland, or so many less teachers in Matebeleland. And this is the same thing in Midlands, parts of Midlands, and this is the same aspect of this in Mat South, and these are the failure rates, and at the moment there's no sort of comprehensive information that's actually out there that you can relate to. It comes in a disjointed fashion. Okay, you'll see some results there. Okay, so but we haven't a comprehensive database to say, okay, in Mad North there are so many teachers from Matebeleland for this, there are so many science teachers, there are so many developers, there are so many teachers from external. This is the success rate in this school. What are the correlating factors? So that's not there. My question is, do you think that this is now the responsibility? We know that, okay, maybe government-wise it's not taking that seriously. Do you think that it is now time for people of Matebeleland to organize an organization of that sort, which will focus on education, monitor all these patterns, come up with the comprehensive data, and even looking at our students, who are the science, maths outcomes, where do they go, the access rate to colleges, what are the reasons for them not accessing college and stuff like that. And then demonstrably, we can argue in a much more convincing way to say, well, it's not that all of these students are failing in Matebeleland. There are some who are actually passing, but they struggle to get into college or universities and stuff like that because of either their ethnicity or the fact that they come from Matebeleland. So this is the challenge. Where do we go from here, us, and taking the responsibility that, okay, this is the problem. Otherwise, if we expect the government to solve it, no one is going to solve it. But we have to push someone to a corner to listen to us.
Yes. The problem with the devil is that the more you are reading good verses to him or her, you make him even worse. You may be carrying the Bible, which is very good evidence that the verse is written there. Don't expect the devil to easily convert, as it were. We have done that. We have been accused that we are lying. For example, let me give an example of the concept of the community parliament. I believe that in Kai is one district that is pioneered that. I'm part of Kai Community Parliament. Currently, I'm serving as speaker for Kai Community Parliament. I have talked about the problem of political parties that are in there. It's a non-partisan platform where we talk issues. But you will see that the issue of partisanship getting in there and stuff, when we were fewer, now Kai Parliament is having close to 600 members. When we were few, we managed to compile the list of unemployed teachers. We've got the list of unemployed teachers. We would email it to the education department in Kai. We would send it to province, etc., giving them evidence of people that have not been employed. Of course, a few have been taken through that. We have seen them coming as it were. So things are being done, but unfortunately, it looks like the concept is not gaining traction in other areas, in other districts. Lupane has adopted it. We have got in Kai Community Parliament. The original intent was that if we have got in Kai Parliament, Lupane Parliament, until the whole of Mat North, we will then have a Mat North Community Parliament. Then we have another in Mat South and stuff. We have got Mat South Community Parliament. There is Mat North Community Parliament. We have got Bulawayo again having the same. We have Mikens doing the same. Then we would now get parliamentarians or representatives from all these districts, so that we now have what we call a Matebeleland Parliament, which will be dealing with these issues. But obviously, in that kind of a setup, you have got someone is from Triple C, someone is from ZANU, someone is from Freedom Alliance, MRP, but you have managed it. That effect of some people being afraid. If you are taking someone whom you know that belongs to a national party which has got the Mashonaland painting and the coloring. That individual, there are things that they won't want to do, even if you know that Dube, we are standing together. But Dube, there are things that are as funny, which is okay, let's go and find out who to teach Vela. Udube kafuni ukuthi ibandla lakhe libe kwazi ukuthi bebuza ukuthi uteacher wemntorashanga udingani la, because to him this person can be demoted. Remember ukuthi we have got authoritarians from Mashonaland who are aware ukuthi what is happening in what 24 in Nkai. The person can never get even a position there, and the people are scared of that. That's the problem that we have. But we will push. We are pushing that. We are seeing even some of the things that we talk about, even in the Parliament of Zimbabwe, they talk about them. For example, we brought the issue of councillors to say, if you have got a councillor who cannot understand the Rural District Councils Act, with someone who cannot read it, then what happens? It will be disaster. Then we heard them talking about it in the Parliament. So the long and short of it is that initiatives are there, but the people of Matebeleland are not very much interested in Matebeleland-backed, Matebeleland manufactured ideas. They don't want them. If that community parliament, if we bring people from Mashonaland to be leaders of this parliament, you will see them being embraced. It's because of more than 40 years of propaganda, where anything from Matebeleland, any initiative from Matebeleland is viewed as something which is wrong, which is tribalistic, which is anti-development. But check, the people of Mashonaland have been in power since 1980. We have got evidence that they've failed. But why then are we having faith in them?
Yeah. Okay. I like the idea of the community parliaments, and hopefully, that can be spread around, and probably, and I understand the dynamics of probably political competition and this problem of also our people not sort of embracing homegrown ideas and getting enthused by things that are external. Definitely there's a struggle there, and we have to work around that. But I think probably with those community parliaments, what do you think those community parliaments in terms of engaging, because now we've got a huge diaspora that has a whole lot of potential. Now, in a few minutes, just in a minute's time, how do you envisage the community parliaments working hand in hand with the diaspora communities in a depoliticized, probably in a depoliticized manner, especially on education, where, probably the best thing is to depoliticize everything and not sort of be Freedom Alliance or this other and whatever, and the nomination of, community education parliament that was going to focus on that and in a non-partisan way. How can that be moved forward?
I think we are continuing to lobby, talk to the people who are in the diaspora. The problem is this understanding of Matebeleland. Even people who are from Matebeleland, when they hear someone from the village saying something, it's not easy to convince people. People will want to listen to someone probably who is a professor, even a professor from Matebeleland, whether someone is having a doctorate. They will want that person, they want Mashonaland to come in there and have a say on it. We have got a lot of people who are aware of, for example, Nkai Parliament. Okay, I also forgot to include, we have got Slovela Community Parliament, there is Jombe Community Parliament. I didn't mention them because they have not actually reached the level where we would have expected them to be. But what we are saying is that we are inviting the people of Matebeleland, whether they are in the diaspora, they are in the village. Let's come together and work. Nkai Community Parliament is having structures at what level? All the wards in Nkai, 30 wards, we've got structures. Then we've got the structure for technocrats, which is what 31. What the third one is for Kai Community Parliament, where we get technocrats helping us as it will. So we are inviting everyone, we are inviting ideas so that we are guided. People who have traveled, they've got a lot of things they have learned. We expect those people to come and help us, assist us, coach us, so that Kai develops, Matebeleland develops. Thank you.
It sounds, Mr. Moyo, that this is the only logical, practical way to try and bring solutions from the community, community-based solutions, and sort of engaging people in a practical way and changing the dynamics of the thinking that, we shouldn't wait for the government to try and intervene so that people can be their own saviors. I think that's a fantastic program. And I hope that many other areas in Matebeleland will use that sort of idea and work on their villages, on their local communities, and look at what the key issues are and conscientize people that, the education shouldn't be in this decomposed state. We need our own children to be in there to educate their own societies and develop. That's not being anti anyone, but if ever someone has got to come in, then they've got to be competent in our language, in our culture, in our diversity, and be able to be part of the community and not the other way around. And this happens across all communities, all nations. It's not something that Matebeleland people are asking. It's a universal thing. It only makes logical sense. Even if someone were to go to Mashonaland, that should be the expectation. No one should be going in there without knowing the language of the locals there, without being competent in the culture that's there, without being able to fit in or trying to impose themselves in that local community. That would be grossly offensive. And I think the people of Matebeleland are taking a lot, or have been taking a lot, of this offensive type of behavior. But what is good is we can only resolve it ourselves and take it up, and manage issues from our own local communities. So the community parliament aspect seems a very, very engaging aspect of it. And hopefully in the future we'll have an interview and measure the progress of that. For today, thank you so much for being on Umdumo interview, which is part of the Sizwe production and a media arm wing of the 1893 Mthogazi Human Rights Restoration Movement. It's been very captivating, very interesting to engage you. Thank you so much. We'll arrange another appointment to look at other issues in Matebeleland, because I'm really interested in getting the perspective of the Freedom Alliance and its agenda in Matebeleland. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thanks.
All right, take care. Bye.
Human Rights Restoration Movement. It's the big movement yamalungelo kaZulu. Ithi bantu bakithi mina bakamthwala. Asibambaneni sonke. Thina bakamsilias. Nansi movement yamalungelo. Amalungelo kaZulu. Usuyolela zimsho Sibani movement ema Thina siyabona Sibambaneni sonke Sibani movement Inabanga masoba Thina siyabona Ithi phakamanina Sibani movement Nina desilo Thina siyabona Sakungusane Amalungelo abensulo Thina shona besha yabasilwa amalungelo kaZulu thina siyabona ngisho yecholuzo, yeplanje, yenkabazwe, ngisho phansi hleze mapisa mwa. Asibambaneni sonke, thina siyabonga, nina bakamsilikazi, sibonga i-movement, thina sizanga ngodlala, thina siyabonga, mnganami, sibonga i-movement, sililunga lamalungelo, thina siyabonga, amalungelo abensundu, sibonga i-movement, akuyona ipolitiki kuphela, thina siyabonga, thilena, i-movement yamalungelo, amalungelo kaZulu, sibonga i-movement, uzululela zinhloko, thina siyabonga, mapema, sibonga i-movement, asibambaneni sonke, nina bakamsilika, Viva 1893 Ntokazi Human Rights and Restoration Movement. Sifikile movement yamalungelo enu nina bakamsilikazi nabashobana bangethekalala. Ngisho naphethela kwezilwandle iyatholakala. South East Asia inqaba. East Africa ugodlwana. eMzantsi Afrika amagoloza. UK izwa ngendaba. Mbuyaswe kwelakithi kwamthwakazi. Utamini insizwe emshiya kujeba dikonza kunamahla watala matrisi ngoba betshela ngemvula. Ngisho phansi kwelakithi la likhamba likomza kumashani yakuza phansi ukulwanele. Ngithi zunisa noswazi uqobolayo vele into abane kwona idongi nazo. Nguye ufana kamshindo etheka kusigabade kambila kandoda umageza kuqabele geza ngamanzi. Aketela ngembuzi emhlophe ethona ngemnyama. Ikhawa lasendleleni sasumzikazi esihlale sakhe. Wonduna sihlale ehlathini etabeni engakhonjwa. Isihlahla esitshela iy'tilo zasehlobo kodwa ubusika siyawohloka. Amagazi amahle kumaqhamuka intombi zashela zona zodwa. Zaba yithi siparapara sentombi ndabanye liqhamuka phansi eliyavota ngevukula. Intombeni hlengamehlo abansalakazi umyeni yabentsha kweyilwandle. Ngaphansi kwasendulo umazi mathali maduna kaselisele kalindamkhonto. Isibiza ngaphansi intaba ushamba mngakameti nangathanda yashisa ngabi indaba zalulu. Indaba kayikhonjwa wena mangayikhombi yakuva uzigaba. Ngisho phansi emadolofiyeni esigodi. Uyazi iyahlaba ngaphansi ongaphansi imnandi siyosuhle wazama uthando. Ngithi futhi kusemakhandela ngazisekhathi lakwamalume nakhona. Isibiza kanjela mnganami ngithele gwade majawunde bamabhoje ebholide igcwele indawana yonke. Ungeza nawe uzothola amatokozo msuka ngasethunjini. Ngithi Viva 1893 Ntokazi Human Rights and Restoration Movement. Bashila Jimmy.